Yeah.
Good. How are you? But it's good. Yeah, that's my Friday. So
I know, I completed this down today at work. And, you know, how to make appointments, Dr. South. And you can't do it. Yeah, so. Yes.
you know.
Looks like we're all here, so we're gonna go ahead and start. Let's stand and have a pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the leaders in prayer, please.
Father, we thank you for this day. We ask you to let your Holy Spirit come in and give us wisdom and knowledge to run the city in the way that you should see it, Lord God, for everything belongs to you. We thank you and give you praise in Jesus Christ's name.
Alderman Duggar,
Here.
Alderman Mahoney, Alderman Goff,
Here.
Alderman Woods, Alderman Lightfoot is absent. But we will be voting, he will be voting in here as well. Alderman Anthony here. We have a form.
Okay, we're gonna start with planning and zoning tonight, as we have Mr. Tadler here with the rezone and his engineer. And so, Mr. Michael Westergren, would you report planning and zoning?
Bob Tasser, through his agent, approached us during our meeting with a request to take approximately 9 acres that he had that was already zone C2, rezone it to R4. This is out there in Terrace Meadows. The commission feels that it meets the intended use, appropriate use that's already going out there. We recommended that his rezone request be approved. We also had 2 other items. We were approached by Adam Whitlow, Patrick Cannell, wants to do those apartments out there on Beach at 367. They dropped off a plan for preliminary grant report. That's our concern out there. We turned those street department, asked Nick to evaluate it or to look at the appropriate needs to get the water off that land. And finally, we want to pass our thanks on to Kristen Boswell for taking care of the webpage and updating our information on the website for the commission.
All right, thank you. The council, we just need to approve the minutes that we need to approve the rezone request. Mr. Tadler's property was commercial, quite deep. He wants to divide it, and put in a street, add some more R4 homes, and I have no doubt that he will do what he says he will do. He's built a great subdivision out there for the city of Beebe. Want to commend him on his work. He's been there nearly every day. He supervises, and it's top notch. So I don't have any doubt that he's not going to complete his project as he said.
First thing I need to do is minutes approved of February 2nd.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and second. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Way to do the ordinance.
Yes, there was an ordinance in your packet, 2021-10.
Make a motion that we read ordinance by title only.
Second. Motion is second to read ordinance number 2021-10 by title only. All those in favor? Any opposed? An ordinance to amend the zoning map with response to the zoning classifications of a specific land area within the city of Beebe, Arkansas, declaring an emergency and for other purposes. I need a motion to adopt the ordinance as read.
So moved. Second.
Alderman Duggar,
Yes.
Alderman Anthony,
Yes.
Alderman Woods,
Yes.
Alderman Gobb,
Yes.
Alderman Mahoney.
Yes.
I need a motion to dispense with the second and third readings.
So moved. Second.
Alderman Duggar,
Yes.
Alderman Anthony,
Yes.
Alderman Woods,
Yes.
Alderman Gobb,
Yes.
Alderman Mahoney.
Yes.
I need a motion to adopt the emergency clause.
So moved. Second.
I'll figure it out. Alderman Duggar,
Yes.
Alderman Anthony,
Yes.
Alderman Woods,
Yes.
Alderman Mahoney,
Yes.
Alderman Gobb.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Adam, did you have anything else tonight?
Unless you have any questions for me.
No, sir.
Thought I hang around a little bit, if you have questions from the sidewalk.
Well, you want to give us, can you give us a quick update on that? Okay, please do.
We do have the sidewalk, we did the approval to bid the project finally from the state. So it is out for bid right now, just advertised this past weekend. So it was a specific bid date on it, 3 weeks, I believe. So we are listening right now, so no contractors who want to bid on the sidewalk project, send it my way, put on the bid list. Hope we have some report back next month.
Okay. Thank you. In our last meeting, we talked about the council's plan for moving forward with the 24 acres and the project to build a community center. And then after we would call the community center possibly phase 1. And then after it was constructed and the finances going to pay for it, moving to a new swimming pool area. So I asked Mr. Jack Thompson to come back to us tonight and talk to you about a ordinance that would need to be drafted. And I thought that we would probably need to take this project and go ahead by ordinance prior to doing the architectural plans or spending any money on the project, that it would be up to the people as to whether or not they wanted to pass this 1 cent sales tax. I think it was the council's intention that we pass a 3/4 cent sales tax for the Parks and Recreation and a 1/4 cent for fire protection. If I'm incorrect in that, it's been nearly a year since we discussed this. So Mr. Jack just walked in, he's here so we can come forward and speak with you about timeline of the project.
Hey, Mayor, good evening, everybody. Good to see you all. Apologize for being late. Getting traffic in Jacksonville, and so it opened up, and so I got here as quick as I could, so good to be here. So with the sales tax election, right now, under current law, the city council will have to approve an ordinance, and it's got to be filed with the White County clerk at least 60 days before the election. So let's say, for example, you were thinking about an election date in June or July, or whatever that date would be, but the election can be the second Tuesday of the month. So you've got to adopt an election ordinance 60 days and file with the White County clerk before that date. So if, for example, you were thinking about a June 8th election date, that would be something that would need to be done sometime during your April meeting, early part of April. Might even require a special meeting if that's the date that you want to go with. If not, then of course it could go back into that second Tuesday in July, which you could hold an election. You have to vote on the projects, each project that you want to do. For example, if it's a community center, for example, that would be one question. If you want to do another quarter cent for another purpose or project, that would be another question as well, and you're able to do what questions are approved by the voters. A quarter-cent sales tax based on the 2019 collections is a little over $396,000. And so how we had kind of looked at that, we kind of talked about a use for a project of about $5 million. A project like that, for example, if you wanted to go with 3/4 cent for that project and you wanted to use, let's say, a quarter-cent for operation and maintenance of the facility and a 1/2 cent to pay for the loan on the facility, it would pay off in approximately 8 years based on the current or based on the 19 sales tax collection rates. It can be structured that if the tax does grow and you choose to want to start prepaying on that bond, you could do that as well. But I think there's been some discussions in the legislature about changing election dates. What we've seen at this point is a possibility of having 4 times a year that you could do an election. If that does pass through the legislature, that would not go into effect until January 1 of 2022. So you still have options in 2021 of having that election on the second Tuesday of the month. But the key is you vote on the tax, each question. You vote on a maximum bond issue size. So the way we would size it, if you needed $5 million for a community center, we would put a size in there that included the cost of the transaction, a debt service reserve, and netting that money, and then that's what the voters would vote on. And if it's approved, if you go in June, a June election, your tax would begin in October of this year, and your first collections would be in December. There's always a 2-month lag at the beginning and a 2-month lag at the end. If you have the election in July, for example, say July through September, the tax levy will begin in January of 2022, and you receive your first collections in March of that year. So that kind of gives you a little bit of a timeline. Let me stop and see if y'all have any questions, or if there's anything, Mayor, that you want me to discuss that I have not.
Y'all have any questions?
Pretty much everything. So,
You know, we don't know the exact figures for the cost. So we talked about 3 million, 5 million, 7 million, and so on and so on. So we just plugged in a $5 million figure, and so we may come in way below that. We don't know the exact cost of here in the center. You know, we had talked about the center and including the cost of the land. We would pay for the land, so we would take that off the table. It's paid for.
in the number in the ordinance, Mayor, it would be kind of a not to exceed number. You can always go less, you just can't exceed it, what's been authorized by the patrons of Beebe.
Right. So I'm saying we would hope that the project would be much less, but
And,
we haven't done figures yet.
and on a Parks and Rec question, it would just be one question, and it would be worded be worded which would give you flexibility that it could be used for the payment of bonds or for their operation and maintenance of the facility.
And the questions would be 2 separate questions or 3 separate.
I think there'd be 3 questions. There'd be a question on levying of the total tax and one on each project. The 1/4 cent and 3/4 cent.
So the 1/4 cent or the 1/2 cent or 3/4 cent could be broken down and the other one back.
That's correct, yes.
See, I have a question. Now, we talked to Jeff Russell today, and he was going to talk to Jack possibly tomorrow. And if the council wants to move forward, then he will draft an ordinance to bring back so that we can adopt an ordinance calling for an election. This is strictly an election. Okay. I want to make one step back. Very cool.
Think about the timing that you want to do it, and we would back into it and put together a timeline of all the steps that need to take place. And just kind of the interest rate assumptions that we just used today, taking a snapshot of it, and I think I'm conservative today. When I say conservative, I think I'm a little high. I used a 1.75% interest rate, which I think today that would be high. but rates change daily, but it's something that Mayor will keep you posted on exactly what's going on. But the fact that it's 8 years in the bond world, that's really short, because a lot of your issues are gonna be 30 years or 25 years or 20 years. So 8 years is short, so I think you'd be looking at really attractive interest rates.
You see a trend in those rates going up and down right
Uh,
now. The future.
That's a great question. Right now, over the last couple weeks, let's say months, so to speak, they've actually been trending up. The reasons of trending up on everything that you read is the concern that because of all this money through the stimulus package that's getting ready to hit the market, people could have inflation. The Fed actually came out during their discussions last week. They are not planning on raising interest rates. They were talking about not doing anything with interest rates till the end of 23. So yes, they will move up and down. At this point, though, we've seen kind of an upward movement in treasury yields, but in municipal yields, the tax exempt, because these bonds would to the investor would be state, federal tax exempt. So they would be a tax exempt issue. You're still seeing attractive interest rates, but they are up a little bit more today than they were in the last couple of weeks. Historically speaking, they're still low, but not as low as we have been in the last 12 months. I think we hit yields where we were a year ago, really right when the COVID-19 situation really hit. And even then, they will come down back.
I think that's something we spoke about before. I mean, we obviously met on it and to link last year, before COVID hit. And a lot of people want it. I have people who don't, but we gotta leave it up to them, in my opinion. So I say we vote for it. Let them draft the ordinance for the special election. I hope we would have to do right first.
Motion,
That motion, there is a motion. Second.
motion and second. Call the roll, Carol.
Alderman Duggar,
Yes.
Alderman Mahoney,
Yes.
Alderman Goff,
Yes.
Alderman Woods. Yes. Alderman Anthony. Yes.
Yes, you will call Mr. Chipp and let him draft the order.
Yes, sir. We'll get you a drafted ordinance. I'll go ahead, and unless I'm instructed otherwise, we'll have the date and the amounts blank. But we'll come in with everything that needs to be done and the questions based on, do we want to go to the community center on one question and the fire on the other question?
Yes.
And get that to you all, and then be thinking about kind of the timeframe, knowing that this governing body has to take action with the White County Clerk, and then you have your election 60 days later, but it's the second Tuesday of the month.
Thank you.
And if there are any other questions, thank you all very much.
Thank you. Next item would be the volunteer bid.
The lawn care bids that are laying on the table are the same exact ones I emailed to you, but I know you received so many emails, I just went ahead and made copies for you guys.
Mr. Tazler, thank you for the supervision that you give it.
Thank you. Appreciate the
Thank you.
compliment.
Okay. We had 4 bids. If I totaled these correctly, water bomb was $48,030. Jaws. While she's trying to get Tracy on the phone, yes, because cemetery, I went out last week and it needed to be loaded. So I was concerned about the price on the cemetery and Quabbon. So I called Mr. Quabbon and I asked him, please go out and load the cemetery and weed it. and see if he wanted to stay with this price. He was going to be able to. They have completed the work, it looked nice. And I talked to him this afternoon, and he was, good to stay with this price.
But it look good.
Look good.
Well, I mean, in my opinion, it's Tracy.
Hey Tracy, it's Carol. We're at the council meeting. Can I put you on speaker? Okay. All right, Mr. Tracy's on there now.
And we're back up to, the four bids. Swallow bomb was $48,030. The second was Doss, $58,056. Third was Best with $59,715. And last was Simple, $89,043. So, floor is open for discussion with the council.
Just looking at the bids, knowing that Superior has already come out and mowed the cemetery, you said they did a good job on it. They beat everybody by $10,026. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't just go ahead and go with it.
Did you hear Matt, Tracy?
No, I did not.
Okay, Matt said that, that he would like to go with Superior.
No problem.
Well,
It says Superior on here.
Superior spraying company, Qualabong.
Okay. So that was,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, swallow bombs and lower superior, so.
Okay, so Alderman Dever would like to go with Quattlebaum. Mayor Robinson did have Quattlebaum come out and mow the cemetery over the weekend, and they finished up today, and they did a good job. I've been out there. I think Chief Baloo's went out and looked at it. Of course, the mayors went out and looked at it. They did do a good job on the cemetery.
As I said, I was concerned about him being able to do the project for $675, because that's half of everybody else. And they spent a couple of full days on it. Still concerned about it making money on it, but he assured me this afternoon that he would do the $675.
Yes, that's the same company that. Last year.
No, this man has never mowed for the city.
Carol, you think it looks nice?
Yes, sir. I went out there today and looked at it. It looks nice.
And I explained to the club, this would be a one-time mowing. If we had not awarded any bids, this would be a one-time mowing. He was the low bidder, and I was concerned that, he wasn't gonna be able to do it that. We're going to do it one time and see.
What was his response to that?
Says he can do it. Yeah, his bid was mowing and spraying, and it was, 10,000 less than the next bidder.
I'm gonna put that into a motion that I say we would accept Quattlebaum and Superior's bid. I guess it'd be Quattlebaum's bid. It's still good.
This year to year or a couple of years?
1 year.
1 year, okay. I can do it. I'll second that motion.
Can I change that motion real quick? Do we need to have something in the motion to where when we fill out the contract, other than them subbing out the Superior, the spray, that we don't allow, they understand that they're doing,
Subcontract.
yeah, I would like that in the agreement.
Alderman, okay. So the motion is to award Qualabong / Superior Lawn Care, the bid for our lawn care for 1 year. And in our contract would be, other than the spraying, they are not allowed to sub it out.
Correct.
By Alderman Duggar and a second by Alderman Anthony.
Call roll.
Alderman Duggar,
Yes.
Alderman Mahoney,
Yes.
Alderman Goff,
Yes.
Alderman Woods. Yes. Alderman Lightfoot,
Yes.
Alderman Anthony.
Yes.
We're gonna bring it done and sign it off.
Tracy, do you want to stay on the phone or? You're welcome. All right, goodbye.
Yes, we'll move right on down the agenda, Gerald.
All right, so Kristen is very excited, and so we all are excited. Looks like we're gonna get to have some events, yay! So, first one will be our BB Spring Cleanup, or Dumpster Days, as we're calling them. And it's just May 1st through May 15th. Nick, jump in if I forget anything, please. Of course, the dumpster hours will be Monday through Saturday, 9 to 4, no curbside pickup. Free for BB residents, must bring a water bill or some type of proof of residency. Items not allowed are paint, shingles, tires, and batteries.
Got it.
So that'll be May 1st through May 15th, so we're excited about that. Next will be BB Community Cleanup Day, and I'm gonna let Mr. Wayne Radford talk about that for a minute. He is on our BB Keep BB Beautiful Committee.
This May 1st, from 8:30 to about 11:30, we'll do a community cleanup. We'll have volunteers, Ms. Carol, Ms. Kristen, Ms. Kim kind of have the registration and the flow of everything been approved by the state health department on our event and with our, all of our throughput with the people. Looking for volunteers, especially for this group. We're actually Green Environmental this year, not only being one of the main sponsors, but we're going to sponsor the Ward Award. So we're going to give a plaque. We'll put a plaque up in here of the ward with the most volunteers. Whether that be Ward 1, Ward 2, Ward 3, we'll put all of them up there and kind of do that. We'd like for y'all to kind of help promote it, if you would, especially with constituents and friends, family. We've got churches, reached out to the schools and the colleges and, you know, and Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. But anyway, it's a little slower than it has been in the past, the registration. So we just want to promote it. We promote it in our papers. We get a hold of City Hall, registrations online. And that's about it. Is there any questions?
Thank you.
Next event that we're having, we're so excited, is our mobile spay and neuter clinic, April 13th through the 15th. And people are really signing up for that, so it's going very good. But I think she's got spots left, so we all go work that one too. So help take care of those babies. Last thing on the list is 4th of July. Kristen asked me to go over this with everybody. She has a couple of days off, so for spring break, so she asked me to go over this. So Kristen and Harley have called the churches, and we're not, getting good responses from our churches about how we usually do it with the free food and that. And I can understand why with COVID, churches are down, people are still scared. So we have several options that we, are batting around what we want to do. And one of the things, historically, this event has been free. It's always free. We do have two groups that have already said they would be there. The VFW is going to serve their lemonade as usual, and the American Legion is going to give out watermelon as they always do. in the city, we can possibly serve our popcorn safely and things like that, but we're a little concerned about what to do about the food situation.
On the food,
Turn this over to the mayor.
what we talked about it a few times is, I really would rather than ask the churches and ask people to participate. Citizens that are willing to come out and work with us. They've done it for years and years, and we appreciate that. But under the circumstances this year, I would like to give away the ice cream, popcorn, and water, and cokes from the city, and then maybe, as you said, American Legion, and, but then, we just have food trucks coming in, and if people want to, purchase, some food, sandwiches and such as that, they can do that. Admission is free, the entertainment is free, the fireworks is free, and what we give away during the night will be free. But then we already have all the hookups out there for everybody to drive in and hook up. And, so I'm very good with, if the council's good, I'm very good with having food trucks in this year, and then, someone wants some main course, they can take it. That's my,
Kind of have to go with what we got. I mean, I'm sure when this stuff finally is in the past, the church will be more than happy to come back out. We'll go back to our normal routine, but kind of just got to go with the flow this year.
they have been our greatest asset over the years. I don't want to put anybody in a situation where they feel obligated to do something. Then they feel at ease.
So y'all are good with us going ahead and trying to start to book some food trucks?
Definitely want to try to book any local ones first.
We will. And y'all understand that you're not paying for the food trucks, so.
Okay, next item is fine.
Okay, so this is the water department financial statement. If you have any questions, Mr. Tommy's here. Miss Carol's not with us this evening. Her daughter had a baby this morning, so she is playing grandma. So if you have any questions about their financial statements, I'm sure Mr. Tommy would be more than happy to help us. If not, I need a motion to approve their financials.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Next item for the water department is their checking account. So what they have had on their checking account is, of course, is Tommy and Carol, and they've always had a commissioner. And so since we no longer have a water commission, we have to have that commissioner removed. Has to be done in the minutes. It has to be done for the by the council now. So the commissioner that's on there is Bob Baker. Right, yeah. And so he needs to be, we need to take him off the checking account, and we need to know what your wishes are. Do you want a third person on that account? It's up to whatever y'all want to do.
The
I
same,
just wanted to come back.
it's the same as the city, if one person's sick or on vacation, someone needs to sign. And, since Carol is the keeper of the records,
I'll make that motion.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right, before we get into what
We need to make a motion to take his name, remove his name?
I did that in the motion.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Gotcha, no, I didn't.
I'll read the motion
No,
down. The motion was to remove Bob Baker and Carol Westerberg.
I just didn't hear remove him.
I know, I just wrote it.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm not sure, before I get into the items that are on my agenda, we need to talk about tonight about the issue with the sound and the complaints that are on Facebook about our live streaming. So, council, y'all need to figure out what you want us to do about this. So what is picking us up right now, and if I'm wrong, James, please, is that little mic that's on that black table right there between Shannon and Matt. That's the mic that's picking us up. So this is what we did in a hurry, 15 days, we had to get this together at a cost that I felt we could afford. So we have done some digging, thanks to our new code enforcement officer. We enlisted his help, and, you know, to get a proper sound system in here to do what people, I guess what they want to hear, it's going to be quite expensive. We've gotten 2 quotes. One is about $10,000 to $12,000. Another one is about $10,000. So I'm going to do whatever y'all want me to do. I'm going to spend what y'all want me to spend, but we are getting the complaints on Facebook. I talked with James about it today, and Kim was in here. We all kind of talked about it. I thought it was this problem, but it's not. It's because all we have is that one little mic right there. You can scream into these mics all you want, but it's not going to help the situation. So
I know when I watch some of them, I can hear it just fine.
Could we not buy more of those and put them around?
I think just spending that much money would be ridiculous.
James, is that possible?
What the price we got for like $10,000 is conference and Saturday.
Yeah.
It has ceiling mounted mics, a large mic array that will pick up everybody. We have ceiling speakers back here. We get rid of all of this rinky-dink sound equipment. And it also includes all the stuff for streaming out. All the stuff we'll need for streaming.
I'm kind of agree.
And also video, high def camera. Video.
Yeah, but I think it'd be different if we were meeting once a day or something like that. We were meeting once. Yeah, well, better now. How much would it cost for all of us to have one of them sitting in front of us? Is that possible? Just a little.
That little bitty thing. I don't know. I can't remember how much was spent for that, but it wasn't very much.
Well, that was the first thing that we looked at was the lavalier mics with the body packs and stuff like that. That was, time you got it all set up, it was close to $15,000.
So I'm not sure that little mic right there is plugged into that computer sitting down there. So I don't know how that would work.
Don't know if we can split it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to figure it out.
I'd like to find out if we can buy some kind of splitter and split off into little mics. Have one sitting there, in between two of us or something.
Well, I'm just gonna
Surely
tell
there's
you,
a cheaper way
and the
to
mayor's
take
not
out-
gonna be real happy when I say this, but I am tired of the complaints on Facebook, so we're gonna have to do something. Either the council members are gonna have to speak up and say it's fine, or we're gonna have to take care of something. Because
Spending that much money it's ridiculous. That's not fair.
all you members out there that complain, you all heard these council members, they don't wanna spend that money. I know.
I also think tonight's the first night that I'm not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
And I also think that kind of buffers us a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'll go back and rewatch this tonight and see, because I'm obviously close. If I can't hear myself, then we're gonna need to do something, but, I mean, I don't mind not wearing a mask because I'm guarding us with Mr. Mahoney, and Shannon, that I don't think I have to anymore. Plus, I'm guessing in about 8 days, the governor's gonna do away with him anyways, from what he said today. So maybe this will help that situation out.
All right. You have 2 sets of minutes in your packet. This first one was February 22nd.
A motion to accept the minutes of February 22nd.
Second.
Have a motion and second. All those in favor? Any opposed? You had motion, you had the minutes of March the 15th in there?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Next on the agenda was the treasurer's report. Any questions? Approve it as a whole?
Yeah.
Have a motion and second to approve the treasurer's report as a whole. All those in favor? Any opposed? Next is going to be the audit findings. Okay, the mayor's going to take it first.
Okay, each year when they come in, they do the audit, they give guidance to the city on how they recommend that our findings are corrected. And findings will change year from year. We've had some auditors that would approve, and a few years later, want to come in and disapprove of something we have been doing that has been approved by the prior auditor. And I don't think that we have problems. We have, I think, a good audit compared to Beebe City. But I know it's already, our audit has already been reported this afternoon before we discussed it. Mr. Rowe over here on the Beebe governmental page that is not related to the city of Beebe in any shape, form, or fashion. It is a page that has been created by himself, and then he puts the items that he chooses on it, and in whatever manner he chooses. I think he first became acquainted with the city in the governmental capacity through community service, and it developed into a website now. So I'm going to report these findings that it was reported as problematic, and I think it's a problem. The first one was written in categories, and remember, there's no category for city council. They don't put a category for city council. They write it up as the things that we all make decisions on, and we all do. They either write it up under departments. And so they write it up under mayor, they write it up under police, they write it up under clerk treasurer. And so they have written the mayor a findings in 2019 that was on the city paid $7,000 for fireworks display in advance of the services being rendered in apparent conflict with Arkansas Constitution, Article 5, Article 12, Section 5, a similar finding was issued in a prior report. That's very possible for a similar to be issued because they work a year behind. So when we got to the 4th of July, as we all remember, we voted to have a fireworks display. We voted to hire a company. We voted to pay them in advance and receive a discount and additional fireworks. And we've done that for a number of years, which was approved by the prior auditors. Now we had a new auditor that came in and it said that they find that we cannot do that because they're using the city's money before the event. And so we should pay at the time of the event. And so the corrective action is that I responded in the future that we will not pay in advance. And so we paid in advance, when the pandemic hit, we didn't have our 4th of July. So we just carried that over. And that's what happened, it's been carried over. And so the finding under the mayor was that the $7,000, that was an agreement, that was a motion and a second and approval by us all. and we all did that. And, you know, I understand what they're saying, but we also buy items like credit cards in advance. And we may not get an item for $60.90 today, we may not get it for 5 months, but we pay for it. So, you know, that's kind of a conflict. But I understand what they're saying, and I wrote back and I responded that we would not do that. So that was the finding that was under the mayor's office.
So the findings that were under the clerk treasurer's office, the first one was the same as the mayor. I also got written up for the $7,000 check written to Premier Fireworks. We've already explained all that. And I had 2 supplemental findings. At this time, as you all know, by looking at your treasurer's report, Donald Ward is collecting his retirement. So when I figured his retirement, I figured it on his net salary, not his gross. The auditors caught that. We will be paying him back and paying him the right amount of money. So we just started paying him the end of 218. So and then when the switchover happened in 2019, Mayor Robinson and I were underpaid. Our salaries did not get reflected correctly, so that was not caught by myself or my office who's doing payroll. So we had to have a little separate check. I think it was like $100-something that had to be paid back to us. The other thing is the auditors have come up with a new policy that we have to have, which we are working on now. If we make electronic payments, which we do on certain things, I just make one today for the ballpark. We have to have some kind of a policy and an ordinance in place. Municipal League is working with us as treasurers because this is something new, and they'll have an ordinance that we can pass over in the next few months as soon as we get through the legislation. So that was our findings. Everything else was, all money was accounted for. There is no problems with our budget. There is no money missing. Everything is wonderful. It's just a few little housekeeping items. Then I will go over the district court. So as Mike said, there are 4 people who get written up. It is the mayor, the clerk treasurer, the police chief, because they do have money at the police department, and district court. It's any department that handles money on a regular basis and has checking accounts. So that's how that works, in case there's a question. So in Jennifer, she barely had anything. Pull hers out. You all should have received this in the mail. I don't know if the new members received this, but we can get the new members a copy. All of Jennifer's have been taken care of. She had an issue with bank reconciliations, not being, she was preparing them, she just wasn't signing off on them correctly. They require several people signing off, and it has to be somebody who doesn't normally work the money. So they have corrected that in their office, and they had some issues. They changed over from either QuickBooks to Quicken or Quicken to QuickBooks. I can't remember how that was. And the balances had a little issue when they moved the balances. We've had Josh Kerr come, the auditor came, they fixed all that. So all of her stuff has been fixed. Police chief had nothing.
I got a question about the fireworks. How is this gonna work in the future? So if we're not gonna pay these people, how are we gonna get them committed to us? Because that's the main reason why we come up with that. Last year, we said we would get wrote up. I remember the meeting. We said we'll get wrote up every year over this because of the fact we've got to be able to
We were
secure
saving money.
fireworks, ahead of time. Because these people that come, they'll go somewhere else.
Yep.
So what are we gonna do? How are we
This is
going
what
to
I
get
told Kristen, because Kristen's very up, this is her ball game, the 4th of July, and she doesn't ever like to see Mike and I written up. But I told her, for this, I will take a write-up, as long as I know I have the council and the mayor backing me.
I backed you just like I backed you last year when I said I don't mind taking a write up over that every time. Because you've got to be able to secure something for our
And this
citizens.
also will happen, we will be written up if we book entertainment ahead of time. This year, we're using local entertainment, so we're not gonna pay them until the day of. But when we have our big name entertainment come in, we have to pay them half up front. Ahead of time. And that will be the same, it will be the same issue.
So what was paid last year that we didn't use because of COVID? That should cover this year, right?
Right, we didn't pay any more money.
So they essentially already been paid and for this year.
I don't know that, the answer to that is because they do require, that's their policy, just like all the entertainers that we've ever had. They get 50% up front and then balance when the show is complete. I don't, so they can book theirs. I don't know.
Surely we're not the only city that run up for this. There's a lot of cities out there that put on really nice, spectacular fireworks shows, and they're paying people to do
Well, I did ask the auditor that.
it. What was their answer?
Their answer is a lot of times they go through their chamber or they have a separate corporation that will take care of it, like an entertainment type corporation, and they pay through that.
So then, so they just pay them back after the event.
Yes.
I don't know, just we'll deal with that. One of the things while we're talking about that, the audit, you know, when asked, you know, on municipal law in Arkansas, this is pamphlets that are given out by Arkansas. Here's one of the questions. Do we have to follow Robert's Rules of Order for our council meetings? This is the answer from the municipal league, not necessarily. The league suggests avoiding complex rules of parliamentary procedure. The league publishes a pamphlet that suggests simplified rules entitled Procedure Rules for Municipal Office. That's what we can follow. And we can, if we wish, follow Robert's Rules of Order. I think that we can keep it simplified and professional without doing that, but I'm willing to do whatever you want. But that's also the activity that we're saying over and over is directed at the city council and the mayor's office. I'm willing to do whatever you want to do.
Real quick, Christie wants me to remind everybody, she's texting me, that we are, the 4th of July event is going to be on the 3rd. We have already booked everything for the 3rd. That's how we did our fireworks people this year. She also wanted me to remind you that the 7K we paid at 219 covers this year. So we're good until we have to purchase again for 2022.
One other thing, Mr. Kerr wanted to talk to the council and speak about hiring of temporary part-time while she has one person that's going on maternity leave. Jennifer, do you want to talk about that?
Already?
Well, she has one person in her office that's going on maternity leave. Actually, for quite some time since creation of this office that combined the clerk and the police clerks and the court clerks all in one collecting fines. There was a position that was created and was put in our budget. Or is it in our budget? Okay. There was a position that was created that never was filled, but they didn't feel like that they needed that position at the time. And so I guess, are you requesting someone, Kim, and you know, while she's, okay. That's the, question.
Need a motion. Motion. Set up the hours and all of that. That's fair. You work with them on that. Okay, thank you.
I think we wanted to bring that person in and train a little bit before Saturday goes on the third. Okay.
Let me add that to the motion.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed?
I think that concludes this portion of our agenda. In fact, Derek, you have someone that wanted to address it.
Yeah, Mr. Warner had a couple things. If you want to come on up, Doug, talk about a couple things that you noticed in there. He's in Ward 3 Terrace Meadows.
I think he's a new resident.
He is a new
Beebe, right?
resident. He just moved here and built a house in Terrace Meadows, so he had a few things. We talked back and forth. I just kind of wanted him to make y'all aware what he was noticing and see if we can find a solution.
First thing I want to do is, when I moved here, about the only person I knew was Derek. So I'm gonna, in front of all your friends up here, he's been, I've been blowing up his email and, don't mean to be a problem, but I appreciate your response and working with you. I have, two questions or issues I just want to bring up, and, then I'll go sit down. Don't necessarily need answers tonight, but, first one was, I live over in Terrace Meadows, one of the new houses over there. And just down from me is a family that has a family member that's disabled in wheelchairs. And we got talking, and there's, for example, on the Harvard's Drive, there's no sidewalks, no pedestrian lane. So they were kind of wondering, well, how do they get their family member out and just walk in there, but there's no real safe way to do that. So I kind of drove to the city. And I was glad to hear about, talking about sidewalks this morning, that there's sidewalks throughout the city in some places and not in others. But there were also sidewalks that are in place that may or not be in compliance with ADA. So in talking to the neighbors, I told them I was going to be here tonight. And so I told them I would just ask that, is there like an ADA upgrade or improvement, program we have in the city? And if there is, maybe I can sit down and talk to Derek about it sometime, but that's just something I was involved in my last city. And I know it's an issue to catch up with you real quick if you're not careful. And I do know that, and I'm not up on all the specific rules and all, but along with applying for grants, if you can, if you're a multimodal, fill in all the squares, multimodal squares in the city, and you meet like what they call it, it's walkable cities criteria. Those are blocks, the squares you can fill when you apply for city improvement grants. So sidewalks, ADA, that kind of thing. And then the other, I just found out today, AT&T is out laying cable in my neighborhood. And I just stopped, getting permission to go through my backyard and all that. And they said that they're laying their last, I want to make sure I get this right, copper cord cable. And after what they're laying now, there isn't going to be any more, they're not going to lay any more copper cord cable. Which means some of the people out there in Terrace Meadows may not get internet, at least not from AT&T. They said they're going to be laying fiber from here on in. And the guy told me that the city wouldn't allow them, or told them that they didn't want any fiber. He was a laborer, so I'm not really sure if he understood everything, but I've had some neighbors come and ask me, how did I get internet when they couldn't? So I figured I'm here tonight, I'll throw that question out there against it.
Mr. Warner, I'm not aware of anyone from the city disallowing AT&T to lay any type of internet cable. We would graciously allow them to lay any that they would. Anytime that we've communicated with them in the past, and we have asked for more there right now, 55, on the back of the property back there to improve the services. But, I would be happy to have the name of the person, and I would be happy to, speak with that person about the AT&T that the city is acquiring because of that.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. And, like I said, I was here, that was what I was told by the people laying that cable. And, but I have an answer, but, they did say that they weren't laying fiber out there. That the copper core cables that, and this is the guy who was laying, he said those cables he was laying, that was gonna be it, there weren't gonna be anymore. And, and there wasn't gonna be enough for everybody out there to tap into that service. So the ones that kind of got there first would get the service and the others would. Now, I know he's not board of directors, he's not planning commission, all that, so he may not have had all the information, but I know I also wasn't the only one who talked to him out there, so, maybe we're getting out in front of this question, so the answer, we can have a solid answer somebody else
And
has.
in Hidden Valley, the state up there, I contacted AT&T and, asked them if they could put cable in at the time of construction. And there was did not get a response. Went back, sometime later and requested again, did not get a response. And then, the cable company went out there and laid cable, and then AT&T came in behind and said they wouldn't later call the cable company. Or cable company, but it didn't go AT&T to respond to anybody's request.
I know the few other, the neighbors out there, they're having all kinds of trouble getting, TV and cable. Where I live, they actually had to, I live on, my address is Harvest, but, Terrace, they had to go across the road to Terrace and down 3 or 4 lots and tap in down there. And they just laid a cable across the road along the fence, ran through my backyard, not just to get it to me. And it laid like that for 6 weeks. Then they finally came aboard underneath the, road, laid the cable, but couldn't hook it up because there was nothing to hook it up too close to the house. They came into that maybe a couple weeks ago, and today they were out, laying cable at the other end of Harvest. But they said it wasn't going to go, to all the houses, it was gonna be limited service, so basically the folks out there who were there needed to get it while they could, because, like you said, there wasn't gonna be enough for everybody. I'm not a cable guy, I don't know how that works, but, I'm just reiterating what he said.
We'll look into your concerns.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Doug.
Also, Kristen sent me a text and said the new sidewalk from Winwood to Walmart will be ADA compliant. So that's part of that grant that we have.
I did, there's one other item before we close my meeting. I did involve in that report for 2021-11, I think it's on the table. It was about the concern about subdivisions and, keeping them clean and debris and mud and dirt from the roads, from construction. And so this is an ordinance to give us some authority to do that with some penalties for those who decide not to. So we looked at ordinance 2021, batch 11. We may adopt it or may not.
So we did motion to read by title only.
We have a motion and second to read ordinance number 2021-11 by title only. All those in favor? Any opposed? An ordinance amending ordinance number 225L, section 1 and section 2, and declaring an emergency. Need a motion to adopt the ordinance as read.
So moved.
Second. Alderman Duggar,
Yes.
Alderman Anthony. Yes. Alderman Woods. Yes. Alderman Mahoney.
Yes.
Alderman Goff.
Yes.
I need a motion to dispense with the second and third readings. So moved.
Second.
Alderman Duggar,
Yes.
Alderman Mahoney,
Yes.
Alderman Goff,
Yes.
Alderman Woods,
Yes.
Alderman Anthony. Yes. Need a motion to adopt the emergency clause.
Second. Whatever.
Okay. Alderman Duggar,
Yes.
Alderman Mahoney,
Yes.
Alderman Goff,
Yes.
Alderman Woods,
Yes.
Alderman Anthony. Yes.
a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, wait till I hear the light go on,
You think they did that on purpose?
Hey, they did that on purpose. We need to. Hey, Carol. Hey, Carol.